Love the Veridian heart monitor, and I've never seen this one before, Matt.
Oh, this is great.
This is a wrist monitor for your heart. I mean, it's not monitoring your wrist. It goes on your wrist and monitors your heart, and it is $10 off. And you know what that means? When we mark $10 off, it means we are in our final quantities for this. $11 to get this home, but that expires at midnight. Look at that big, giant reading. There is no doubt on this. And you know, it's so important. Again, what do you do when you go to the doctor? The nurse measures your temperature and your blood pressure.
There are a couple other things with this blood pressure monitor. As you see, you know, the person in that video, putting it on, using it, taking it off, packing it. This is actually the smallest designed wrist monitor that we've had from Veridian. And again, a blood pressure monitor is something every household needs. And I'll ask everybody at home as they're watching this video, what is your blood pressure right this second? And, you know, nobody would know unless they're actually monitoring it, right? At that second. Yeah. Because it changes all the time, and you can't tell by looking at a person if they have high blood pressure in that moment, if they have a tendency to have high blood pressure, or if they're going to get it. And if you look at this, this is startling. 1 in 3 adults in this country has high blood pressure. That's 70 million people. Another 70 million, or 1 in 3, has pre-hypertension, so a crisis looming in the wings, and they don't know that they have that going on. So of the 70 million that have high blood pressure, only about half of those folks have it under control with medication, diet, etc. And look at the cost. You know, if you don't like going to the doctor, you don't monitor your blood pressure for health purposes, it hits us in our pocketbooks. Oh yeah. $46 billion it costs this country. So it's going to cost you in lost wages. It's going to cost you in medications. It's going to cost you in visits to the doctor. So there's so many reasons to check your blood pressure on a regular basis, and there's no reason not to with this, because look, this is all it is. I mean, this literally will fit right in your pocket.
That's awesome.
Okay, it's very small. This is the smallest monitor that we've had. So there it is. There's the case, and I want to show everybody something else about this monitor from Veridian that is outstanding. Normally, you're used to the preformed cuff that you have to kind of balance on your wrist. Yeah. So we have this cuff right here. It's also latex free. So if you have any sensitivity to latex, you're not gonna have to worry about it. But if I put my wrist through there, it's gonna accommodate any size wrist. Right. So if you have a really large wrist, and we have someone over there, we have Dustin working with us, actually has a very large wrist. Jen, who we just worked with, has a very small wrist. So it's gonna accommodate both of those. And I'm gonna show everybody just how easy this is to use, if I might. You volunteered earlier.
Yes, I volunteered, yeah.
Okay.
Because I wanna know. I mean, it's really important to know. The only time I ever know is when I go to the doctor's office.
Absolutely, and I wanna show everybody something. So I'm just gonna go ahead and drop that, all right? So you can drop that. It's actually through here, so it's not gonna give off. You don't have to feed it back through. So once you have it on there, you have it on there. And you're just gonna pull it. So it's kind of like pulling a belt tight and snug. You can pull it to where you need it, wrap it around and fasten it with a hook and loop, and then just hold your wrist right up to heart level like you would with any wrist monitor. One button is gonna get it started. And here's the thing, you know, everybody, we don't like to check our blood pressure. It's not a pleasant thing to think about, but, you know, how many of you out there either know somebody or maybe yourself has had some sort of crisis where you've had a heart attack or a stroke, or a loved one has a heart attack or a stroke, and you don't know what's coming, and the person didn't know what's coming, and hopefully they're okay, but this stuff happens all the time because we mention those statistics. We don't know what's gonna happen. You know, I have a good friend of mine who was a collegiate athlete, and he had no idea he had high blood pressure until one day he went into the doctor's office and it was just through the roof. So he actually had to get medicated, and since then has had a wrist monitor to medicate that and kind of, and so that his physician can actually adjust his medications.
Wow. So this, I mean, it took seconds.
It takes about 20 to 30 seconds. Now I'm gonna take this off and show everyone just how much information we get on here. All right, so we have here up top, we have the systolic over diastolic, and you know, you're running a little bit on the low side, but that's probably your normal, all right? So this is gonna hold up to 60 readings for up to 2 users in memory. So you can share this with another person in the household.
Oh, excellent. Wow. So for you and your spouse, it'll measure, it'll keep all of those readings. And that's important. When people bring that in to their physician, then they have all that information.
It's very important because I mentioned blood pressure is something that changes. It's a dynamic system. So it's going to change from minute to minute. So that 60 readings in memory is actually going to show the trend over a 2-month period. That's 2 months of information. Wow. So, I mean, we have the systolic, we have the diastolic. We also have over here the heart rate. And then over on the other side, this is something that I love with Veridian blood pressure monitors. This color-coded system over here is what we call a hypertension indicator. So you see that bar is in the green zone. That actually shows that you're on the low side of normal. So again, with Veridian products, you don't have to have any sort of advanced medical knowledge or training to know that you're in the normal zone. So you know when you might have an issue, and you know when you might need to report something to your physician.
That's excellent. So, you know, green is good. Green, go about your business. Yellow, start to think about it. Maybe bring that information in, start to measure it. And of course, red, do not pass go. Go straight to your physician. That's how easy it is. And so easy to be able to get started. The blood pressure, the cuffs that go on your arm and they squeeze, I call them the arm squeezy things. This is comfortable to use. It's easy to use. It has a big screen so you can monitor it. And you get to keep track of it because if you just use the one reading when you go into the physician, that's all they have to go on. And like you were saying, it changes from day to day, from moment to moment. The more information you have, the more accurate that information is.
Do you enjoy going to the doctor?
No.
I don't enjoy going to the doctor, and I work in healthcare. If you're watching this, you probably don't enjoy going to the doctor. And we call it white coat syndrome for a reason. You go in there, your blood pressure is going to be through the roof because you're nervous about what's going to happen. We're all scared of the unknown. So a lot of times, if you have high blood pressure, you go to the physician. They check your blood pressure, and it is very elevated. They're going to adjust your medication oftentimes based on that elevated reading. So if you take blood pressure medication at home, and sometimes you say, geez, I can't get out of my own way. I'm so tired all the time. That's one of the reasons. Maybe you're over-medicated. You need a device that's clinically accurate that you can actually use when you're relaxed, when you first get up at the same time every day, get that clinically accurate reading and have that information. And if that trend's lower and you bring that into your doctor, they can readjust your medication so that you'll feel a lot better. You're more productive and you just feel better knowing what's going on inside you.
And it's so, I mean, it really is interesting. Those statistics are so daunting that for 70 million Americans to have high blood pressure, and then so many of them, it's not under control, and you could be one that doesn't even know that you have it. 1 out of every 3. I mean, that is significant. If you don't know 1 out of the 3 people that you know, think of 3 people, if one of them doesn't have high blood pressure, you might be the one. I mean, that to have that knowledge, or maybe it's your spouse, or maybe it's someone in your home, maybe it's an elderly parent. It doesn't have to do with age, or you can't look at someone and say, you know what, I bet that person has high blood pressure. It can cross ages, it crosses genders, it crosses weight categories. Like Matt said, a professional athlete didn't even know, and of course he's working out a lot more than I am. That's usually what you think of. You think, well, as long as I work out. It doesn't necessarily mean that, and you don't know until you're actually getting those readings, and you get them in the comfort of your own home, so you get that clinically accurate reading. We've taken $10 off. We're giving it to you for $11. $11 is all it takes to have that reading for you. You can use it on anybody that you want to, but to be able to keep those readings even separate for 2 different people, that means you can bring that into your healthcare professional, and they have all of that accurate information to be able to give you the best healthcare possible. That's really important.
To everyone who's excuse me, purchasing one of these today, I just want to say, you know, thank you, because when you have that information and you come into the doctor's office, if I see you, if the doctor sees you, it is so much easier to treat what's going on with you if we know some of that accurate information, because we know that those are clinically accurate readings that you're taking in the comfort of your own home. We know what's going on inside your body over time. It's so much easier, and it's going to be so much easier for you too. you know, if you know what's going on and you can report that information. You mentioned something about, you know, blood pressure, high blood pressure doesn't have a face. They call it the silent killer for a reason. And I know that sounds doom and gloom, but you have to not have your head in the sand with this. It's one of the most important things that you can do.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, you know, a lot of us, we don't like going to the doctor, but this could actually save you a couple trips. If you come in armed with this information, you don't go for that first visit and they say, you know what? Come back after you've monitored, and then we'll see you again. This is that, you know, you could save yourself so much time.
I had a patient a couple of months back. He was a you know, middle-aged guy, and he worked a lot, and something was just going on inside him. He didn't really know what was going on, and he felt a little off, okay? And oftentimes high blood pressure is not going to have any signs or symptoms. He just felt a little sluggish, and you know, he ended up having a mini stroke.
Wow,
because
middle age.
Exactly, and you never know. I mean, people are having heart attacks and strokes in their 20s nowadays because, you know, if somebody looks fit and in shape, it doesn't make a difference because we don't know what's going on inside that person.
Yeah.
So thankfully, he's okay, and now he's on certain medications. They're monitoring him, but you know what? He has one of these, so he can actually see what's going on a day-to-day basis. Because if you don't feel it, you need a clinically accurate device so that you can get that information.
Absolutely. So any age, any gender, everybody needs one of these in your home. It's just that important information for you to have about your health. And so easy to use. There you saw, and of course, Jen's got, you know, a petite wrist. This will fit any wrist. It's comfortable. It's easy to use. And you even, you know, when we talk about the doom and gloom, there's also the positive side. If you've had higher blood pressure, then you're going to make some health changes. You get that immediate feedback. You get to know, you know what? My health changes have made a little bit of difference. I'm parking a little bit further away. I'm walking a little bit more. I'm eating more vegetables, whatever it is.
That's a great point. You know, when we know what's going on and we're actually, you feel better about it.
Oh, yeah.
You feel better knowing, hey, guess what my blood pressure is? Here, I'm going to check it again and show you, okay? So we might not limit it to once a day, but you see how Jen, you know, she pulls that strap. It's snug on her wrist. It's comfortable. You know, you throw it in your pocket. You can take it anywhere. So when you have this in your pocket, and you're walking through the big box store and someone's sitting on the clunky machine with their arm in that, you know, apparatus, and they're checking their blood pressure and sweat's pouring down their face because people are walking by looking at them, you know that you have that in your pocket, and when you get home you can check it and you don't have to go through that spectacle. A lot of times those aren't clinically accurate because they're not calibrated on a regular basis.
Right.
So you need to have your own.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is so much more comfortable. It's so quick. It really is so fast, and you get those great results. It's easy to read, and it's important information. I mean, we talk about Fitbit. We've got our trackers. We've got our fitness trackers. We're tracking our sleep. We've got more information really about ourselves that we know what to do with. This is crucial information for you. Whether you've ever been diagnosed with high blood pressure or not, you could have it. You could develop it. Maybe your spouse could develop it. Maybe your child could develop it. A grandchild, a grandparent. This is, again, we talked about the thermometer, one of the basic healthcare needs of every family, every household. This is the other one. They go hand in hand. It's that crucial information you need it at home, and you also need to be able to bring it to your doctor.
You do, and if everyone can look at this again, this is the information you get here. You have your systolic over the diastolic, that 85 reading down there. This is the memory. So I just pushed the memory button, and it's actually, when you push the memory button for the first time, it's going to give you the average of the last 3 readings. So this figure here is actually the average of the last 3 readings. And the reason is blood pressure is a trend. One reading doesn't tell you the whole picture on what's going on inside your body. So you need to get like a little bit of a trend on what's going on over the last few readings, and that gives you a better picture. The other thing that this gives you, and if I cycled through this memory, there are a couple instances where you do have an irregular heartbeat. So it's gonna let you know, it's gonna alert you if you have an irregular heartbeat. So I'll go ahead and cycle through the memory. I don't know if I can find one here.
Too.
And the silence is deafening here, and that's
well, you can see that it went up to the red even too for the one where it was
so
high.
that bar on the hypertension indicator is going to float up and down here, so it's going to see where you're trending. And you know, we've used this monitor. A lot of people have checked their blood pressure, so these are going to be all over the place for readings. But what I love about this, and this goes back to the clinical accuracy, Shannon, you can get an error message on this if you're not holding it in the right position, you know, that's going to give you that clinically accurate reading on your wrist. If you're moving around too much, it might give you an error message. Rather, you know, there are some monitors out there, believe it or not, that you could be doing jumping jacks and it's going to give you a reading. That's not clinically accurate. So this can actually read your motion and let you know if you're in the right spot, and then it's going to take that reading for you.
Wow, so you know that it's going to be clinically accurate, and that makes it goof-proof. That really is. I mean, and as an RN, if people came in with this monitor and 30 readings, how grateful would you be?
Well, you know what it does is I look through those readings, or the doctor looks through those readings. If we check their blood pressure on the spot and it's much higher, then we're going to say, you know what, that's probably not what's going on a daily basis. The doctor, again, medication can run you down on a regular basis if it's not calibrated properly. So they can adjust that based on readings like this because they know you're checking your blood pressure with a clinically accurate device.
And you know what? There's nothing like that peace of mind when you have this in your own home and you know what? My blood pressure is good today. It's great. You get that feeling of, you know what? I'm all right. I'm good. No risk. So definitely get that home, even for the peace of mind, knowing that you, your family, everybody is just, you're functioning at your premium, at your optimum. It's an important part of health. And we put it on 3 Flex just until midnight tonight. So be sure that you get that right now. And we've got a whole hour of great health and feeling great for you. So thanks so much, Matt. I always appreciate you bringing important clinical information to us.
Thank you, everyone, for taking care of yourself and your family, and thank you for getting the message out on it.